The maitre d's voice sliced through the elegant hum of clinking glasses and whispered conversations. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but you need to leave immediately. This establishment has standards." He didn't need to elaborate. His tone, his eyes, his pointed gesture toward the exit, every signal was clear. Camila Santos stood frozen, holding her baby boy close, the weight of that moment pressing down on her like the crystal chandeliers above. At 22, Camila had once worn scrubs, not second-hand clothes. She had held hope in her hands, working tirelessly, as a cardiac ICU nurse. But that was before her life fell apart. Now, standing barefoot on the cold marble of the most exclusive restaurant in town, she clung only to her baby and her dignity. "I only asked him if I could have the food he didn't. Eat," she said softly, nodding toward the man in the tailored suit seated beside her. Her voice, though quiet, did not waver. David Richardson glanced up from his plate, one hand wrapped gently around his infant daughter. His face was unreadable. Around them, guests paused mid-sip, some with disapproving scowls, others with barely concealed curiosity. Phones emerged from designer handbags, eager fingers hoping for a viral moment. The manager's eyes darted nervously. "This sort of behavior is unacceptable," he insisted. "You're disturbing the ambiance." Camila didn't flinch. "I didn't disturb anyone. I asked a question." "Unbelievable," a nearby guest hissed. A woman in pearls and a flawless blowout leaned toward her husband. "They just wander in now? With children?" Her sneer was as sharp as her diamond earrings. Camila shifted Noah in her arms, trying to quiet his soft whimpers. His last meal had been half a banana the day before. She had hoped that asking for untouched leftovers wouldn't strip her completely of pride. But in this room, filled with truffles and whispers, that hope evaporated fast. Still, she kept her head high. David Richardson remained quiet. He had once lived in this world, knew every inch of this room, and every shade of wine on its menu. But something in Camila's eyes caught him. Something that pulled him away from the dull rhythm of lonely dinners and memories that refused to fade. His wife had been a fighter too. She'd had that same fire when advocating for patients who couldn't speak for themselves. Camila's voice broke through the hush again. "My son hasn't eaten in 2 days. Please, just the food you won't touch." The room shifted. Something unspoken passed between them. David, still silent, gently placed his napkin on the table. He turned to Camila, eyes narrowing slightly, as he absorbed her words. "2 days?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, emotion strangled, but pride still intact. "I lost my job. They accused me of something I didn't do." The manager tried to intercept the moment. "Mr. Richardson, we'll take care of this quietly." But David raised one hand, slow, deliberate. The manager stopped speaking. Even the waiters paused, caught in the gravity of something they couldn't name. "You said you worked at Memorial Hospital?" David asked. Camila nodded. "For 4 years, until 3 months ago." At a nearby table, Dr. Patricia Wells choked slightly on her wine. The color drained from her face. She tried to appear unfazed, reaching calmly for her dessert spoon, but her hands betrayed a tremble. David's tone sharpened. "The cardiology department?" "Yes," Camila confirmed. "I was on the ICU team." The name hit like thunder. Patricia Wells had not expected this. She stared at Camila with a mixture of shock and fury. What had seemed like a perfectly executed takedown, a smear job to silence a voice that had seen too much, was unraveling. Camila turned toward David. "I was blamed for a patient's death. They said I gave the wrong medication, but I didn't. I followed protocol. I documented everything. Dr. Wells changed the dosage and never recorded it. When the patient died, she needed someone to blame." David's voice was quiet, but firm. "Did you document that change?" "I did. I have photos of the prescriptions. I have timestamps. audio recordings of conversations. I've kept it all. Every head in the restaurant turned toward her now, not with judgment, but curiosity, even apprehension. The mood had changed. Dr. Wells stood, her smile thin, her voice falsely sweet. "David, darling, don't tell me you're buying into this." "Nonsense? This woman is clearly unstable. She's trying to extort—" "From someone like what?" David asked, his gaze fixed on her. "Go on. Finish your sentence." Silence. Camila didn't back down. She wanted to protect her reputation. So she made me the scapegoat. But I wasn't the only one she targeted. She's been manipulating records for years. Selling equipment, ordering expired meds to cut costs. I kept everything. I wasn't alone. Dr. Wells stepped back, visibly shaken. "This is absurd." "I have names," Camila said. "Nurse Thompson, Dr. Martinez, the pharmacist, the technician. They all collected evidence too. We compared notes. We knew the board wouldn't protect us." David was now standing. The room held its breath. "Where did you take this evidence?" he asked. "To the state attorney's office. The FBI has it. The press gets it tomorrow morning." Dr. Wells's jaw dropped. You coordinated all this?" "For years," Camila replied, her voice steady now. "And I had access to every equipment log, every missing item. I tracked them all. The $2 million in donations your foundation gave, half of it was sold to private clinics." The blood drained from Dr. Wells' face. "You're lying." "I have the transfer documents, with your signature. I even recorded your conversation with the clinic's director when you negotiated the sale price." David exhaled. He understood now. This wasn't desperation. This was truth. Ugly, well hidden and explosive. A truth that had been waiting to tear through marble floors and polished silverware. Camila reached into her bag and produced a folder. 17 patients died because they didn't have the right tools. 32 more suffered severe complications. Some never walked again. We counted, we documented, and we're done staying silent. Dr. Wells's lips trembled. Even if all this were true, the board? "The board?" Camila interrupted. "You think we're handing this over to the same board that helped cover it all up? We've bypassed them. Tomorrow morning the media will publish everything, and they'll know the names of every complicit executive." No one moved, no one whispered. The guests of Lateau, once eager to scoff, were now spellbound. Camila looked around the room, not with defiance but with quiet conviction. They had judged her as a beggar, an intruder, someone who didn't belong, but she had come armed with truth, and the walls they had built to keep people like her out were already cracking. Dr. Wells looked like he had seen a ghost, his face drained of color, his fingers trembling like loose threads, unraveling a very expensive lie. Across from him stood Camila, her voice steady but cold. 3 years, she whispered, her eyes never leaving his. 3 years collecting every document, every lie, every avoidable death, all because you underestimated a black nurse from the projects. David, standing protectively beside her, gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "What do you need from us right now?" he asked. "Justice," she said without hesitation. "And a safe place for Noah to sleep while the storm we created turns. Everything they built on lies to ash." The restaurant had fallen silent, everyone holding their breath, some pretending not to listen while discreetly recording the moment with their phones. What they thought was a typical confrontation had transformed into something historic. Dr. Wells cleared his throat, tried to summon authority from the bottom of a collapsing world. "Even if mistakes were made, I can explain." Camila calmly opened her bag and pulled out a tablet. "Explain this then." She tapped the screen. Audio filled the air, Dr. Wells's unmistakable voice instructing a pharmacist to push expired morphine to illegal clinics. Gasps echoed across the dining room. Or maybe you'd prefer to explain signing Mrs. Elena Rodriguez's death certificate, knowing full well she died because you sold the ICU's only ventilator to a private buyer. The weight of his decisions finally crashed into him. Dr. Wells stumbled backward into a chair, eyes wide with realization. He looked around. Faces that once smiled at him now stared with thinly veiled revulsion. Camila turned slowly, her voice low and resonant. You thought I was nothing, a disposable employee. But you underestimated the one thing you never understood: conviction. And just then, the silence shattered. Phones started buzzing, vibrating across tables. Notifications popped up like wildfire. You need to look at this, a customer muttered to Dr. Wells. It's trending. Everywhere. Dr. Wells picked up his phone. On screen, his own face stared back at him. Videos from the confrontation, already flooding every major platform, hashtags multiplying by the second. Justice for Noah and medical corruption. He scrolled in disbelief. How did you think we'd wait 3 years without preparing? Camila said softly. She turned her own phone around. A live stream was already underway. 4 figures sat at a table, faces both familiar and unexpected. I'm Dr. Roberto Martinez, one of them began, and today we release evidence exposing a decade-long medical corruption scheme, the largest in state history. Wells reached to turn off his phone, but David intercepted. No, let's hear what they have to say. More names followed: Nurse Sandra, Pharmacist Silva. With each document shown, each piece of evidence laid bare, the story grew darker. Misused donations, sold equipment, forged prescriptions, $4.2 million stolen from those most in need. You're lying, Wells barked, voice cracking. Camila tilted her head. 15,000 people are watching right now. They'll decide who's lying. Pharmacist Silva revealed forged drug logs. Camila leaned closer. Want to hear the recording of you ordering the removal of donor tags from life-saving machines? No, he snapped, but the recording played anyway. His voice was unmistakable. David stepped forward, his calm finally broken. 3 years of funding life-saving donations while you lined your pockets. How dare you, Dr. Wells pleaded. David, you've known me. Your bank deposits, Camila interrupted, matched the equipment sales. $400,000 in 18 months. We got the records after the FBI issued a warrant. The phone in Wells' hand rang again. His lawyer's voice came through, loud and unmistakable. Patricia, the FBI is here. Your accounts are frozen. Reporters are at the door. The phone slipped from his hand. Dr. Martinez's voice returned. Tomorrow, Operation Clean Heart is turned over to the district attorney. Wells looked around, his world imploding. Where once there had been admiration, now there was contempt. You ruined my life, he whispered to Camila. No, she replied, holding Noah close. You did that all on your own. You can't prove any of this, he muttered, desperate. The hospital board held an emergency vote 20 minutes ago, David said. You've been terminated, unanimously. How would you know? That? Wells asked, incredulous. Because I called the meeting. 3 of the 5 board members are close friends. Wells stood, wobbled, and pushed through a flurry of reporters and flashing cameras. His downfall was now public record. And yet, as he fled the restaurant, Camila stood taller than ever. That night wasn't just about reckoning. It was about birth, of a movement, of a future. 6 months later, Camila walked the brightly lit corridors of the newly opened David Richardson Community Hospital, now serving the neighborhoods most often forgotten. She wasn't just a nurse anymore. She was the director of nursing and founder of the Camila Santos Foundation. Mom, look. Noah, now over a year old, pointed to the hospital's entrance plaque gleaming in the sun. David watched them from his office, his heart full. What started as an alliance of necessity had become something neither had expected, a partnership of purpose, love, and resilience. News anchors soon reported on the results of Operation Clean Heart, over $12 million in fraud uncovered. Dr. Patricia Wells sentenced to 15 years, her license permanently revoked, her mansion and possessions seized. Meanwhile, Memorial Hospital underwent a complete transformation. 3 board members replaced, ethics training revamped, and anonymous reporting tools introduced. Dr. Martinez became the hospital's new CEO. Nurse Sandra led the ethics division. And a new initiative, the Camila Santos Scholarship Program, offered full scholarships to aspiring nurses from marginalized communities. During an emotional ceremony at Memorial's auditorium, Camila stood before 500 people, many of them in tears. "A year ago," she said into the microphone, "I was unemployed and begging for scraps to feed my son. Today, I stand here for every professional who ever had to choose between silence and integrity." The room erupted into a standing ovation. From a prison television, Dr. Wells watched the ceremony. At 62, he had lost everything, not from bad luck, but from underestimating someone he deemed beneath him. Camila's final words lingered in the room. "This isn't a story about revenge. It's about refusing to accept injustice as the price of survival." Every photo, every recording, every sleepless night, it was all for the patients who deserved better and the professionals who deserved protection. David held Noah in the crowd as his son clapped joyfully, unaware of the full meaning behind the applause. But one day, he'd know. The hospital had already treated over 10,000 patients with full transparency and 0 cases of fraud. 3 states had enacted the Santos Protocol, enforcing transparency in hospital donations and whistleblower protection. Dr. Wells had tried to erase a nurse's career to protect his empire. Instead, he helped create a movement that reshaped an entire healthcare system. Camila had learned that strength doesn't come from accepting the way things are, but from daring to demand better. Because the most powerful revenge is building, something so good, so enduring, that those who tried to break you end up revealing just how small they truly were.